I have a ton of videos on this channel where I talk about affordable travel gear, budget-friendly gadgets, and products that deliver great value without costing a fortune. And to be honest, I still strongly believe that most expensive travel gear simply isn't worth the extra money. A lot of brands charge 2 or 3 times more for a product, add one extra feature, call it premium, and somehow expect you to believe it's a great deal. However, every once in a while you come across a product that's genuinely better than the cheaper alternatives and actually worth spending a little more money on. So hey, Johannes from GearUpYourLife here, and today I'll show you 8 buy once, cry once travel products that are definitely more expensive than their alternatives, but that I personally think are worth spending your hard-earned money on. So let's start with a sling bag that made me question my own sanity when I first saw the price tag. So our first product on this list is the Bellroy Lite Sling Mini that you see right here. And for the size and capacity at around $75 to $85, it's definitely a premium option. In fact, I thought about buying this sling for well over a year before finally pulling the trigger. Now on paper, it doesn't sound all that impressive. It's a relatively small 4-liter sling bag with a fairly simple layout. But what surprised me most after using it was how incredibly lightweight it is. At only around 185 grams, it's one of the lightest sling bags I've ever used, which becomes especially noticeable if you're carrying it for hours while traveling. On top of that, you get Bellroy's lightweight ripstop fabric, an expandable design that gives you a little extra flexibility when you need it, YKK AquaGuard zippers, and a 6-year warranty. But the biggest reason I ended up keeping it is the comfort. And I know that sounds a little strange for a sling bag, but for whatever reason, this thing simply feels better to wear than most sling bags I've tested over the years. On the other hand, I completely understand why the price doesn't seem justified at first, because at the end of the day, this is still a fairly small sling bag, but after using it for over a year now, it's one of the few products where I can proudly say I've never regretted spending the extra money, which is exactly why it made this list. Next, we have the biggest and also the most expensive product on this list, the MVST TREVA aluminum checked luggage, and at around $550, I completely understand everyone who thinks that's way too much money for a suitcase, because to be honest, it is a lot of money, but here's why I think it can make sense for the right person, and also why I think it deserves a spot on this list. First of all, the suitcase you see right here obviously looks fantastic, but that's actually of course not the main selling point. What makes it interesting is the combination of the aluminum shell, the zipperless design, TSA approved locks, reinforced corners, lifetime warranty, and surprisingly smooth wheels. And despite being made from aluminum, it's actually fairly lightweight, weighing around 11 pounds, while offering about 62 liters of capacity, especially compared to a lot of other aluminum suitcases on the market. Now, one thing I've always found interesting about aluminum luggage is that most of the usual downsides matter a lot less once you're talking about checked luggage, because unlike a carry-on, where the weight really matters. So the biggest downside of aluminum luggage, the extra weight, becomes much less important, while many of the benefits remain. You get a stronger shell, a suitcase that's built to take abuse, and a product that can realistically last for many years, and that's also backed with the lifetime warranty. And that's really why I think this is such a strong buy once, cry once product. Not because it's cheap, and not because everyone should buy one, but because it's one of those products that you can realistically keep for a very, very long time. Now, this portion of the video is sponsored by MVST. However, I actually featured this exact suitcase in another video about 6 months ago before any money was involved. And now, after using it for almost half a year, my opinion hasn't changed. I still think that for the right traveler, this suitcase can make a lot of sense. So if you'd like to check it out for yourself, feel free to use the link down below in the description. I'm pretty sure you'll find a nice little surprise waiting for you there. And with that being said, thank you to MVST for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now let's keep going. So our next product is one of the few travel gadgets that I still use almost every time I fly, the AirFly Pro from 12 South. Now if you've never seen one of these before, basically a Bluetooth adapter that lets you connect your wireless headphones to an airplane's entertainment system. And while the standard version already does that really well, the Pro version adds a few features that I think make it worth the extra money. The standard version usually costs around $40, while the Pro version is closer to $60. For that, you get better battery life, the ability to use it with other devices outside of airplanes, and most importantly, support for 2 pairs of headphones at the same time. Because whether you're traveling with a partner, a friend, or family member, being able to watch the same movie together without sharing earbuds is a much bigger upgrade than it sounds. Now, are there cheaper alternatives from brands like Ugreen or Me? Absolutely. And if you only fly once or twice a year, I'd probably save the money and buy one of those instead. But if you travel regularly, I genuinely think the AirFly Pro is one of those products where paying a little extra can absolutely be worth it. I've used mine for about a year now, and I've never really felt the need to replace it, which is exactly why it earned a spot on this list. Next up, we have the Anker Prime Charger, and at around $110 right now, or sometimes even closer to $150 depending on the sale, this is probably the product on this list that took me the longest to justify buying. In fact, I spent almost 4 years traveling before I was finally willing to spend that much money on a charger, because on paper it sounds completely ridiculous. After all, it's just a charger. But once you start traveling with a laptop, camera gear, a phone, headphones, and a power bank, the advantages become pretty obvious. You get 3 USB-C ports, up to 160 watts of output, and enough power to charge a laptop, phone, and other accessories at the same time without constantly having to think about power distribution. It also supports modern fast charging standards across a wide range of devices, which means it works just as well with my MacBook as it does with my phone, my camera, or power bank. And then there's the small display on the front, which sounds like a gimmick at first, but is actually surprisingly useful when you want to see exactly how much power each device is drawing. Combined with the compact size, those features are what make it feel less like an expensive charger and more like a single charging hub that replaces several chargers in my bag. Now, do I think everyone should spend over $100 on a charger? Definitely not. But if you travel regularly with multiple devices and want one compact charger that can handle almost everything, I genuinely think this is one of the few chargers where the higher price can actually be justified. Next up, we have the Loop earplugs. And I know that a lot of you have probably heard me talk about these before, but I wanted to include them because I genuinely think they're one of the few products where the higher price is actually justified, because at around $20 they absolutely sound way too expensive at first. After all, we're talking about earplugs, and if you've never tried them before, spending $20 on something that most people associate with a few cents worth of foam can feel a little ridiculous. But after using them for flights, hotels, buses, trains, and even while working, I finally understood why so many people love them. They're comfortable enough to wear for long periods of time, they look much better than traditional foam earplugs, and they reduce noise without completely disconnecting you from the world around you. They also come with a small carrying case that you've probably already seen throughout this video, as well as different ear tip sizes to help you find a better fit. Now, do I think everyone needs premium earplugs? Probably not. But if you travel regularly, stay in hotels, take long flights, or simply value a little more peace and quiet, this is one of those products where spending a little more money can make a surprisingly big difference. And while it definitely hurts a little to spend $20 on earplugs, it's also one of those purchases that I've never regretted afterwards. Next up, we have the Bellroy Wallet. And out of all the products on this list, this is probably the one where I was the most skeptical about whether spending extra money actually made sense, because at around $90, it's a lot of money for something that most people use every single day without really thinking about it. And to be honest, I'm still a fan of simple traditional wallets. I don't need a wallet that connects to my phone, has a battery, or comes with 100 different features. But after using this Bellroy wallet for quite a while now, I've come to appreciate the small details. You get premium leather that ages really well over time. As an example, mine right here is 3 years old now. RFID protection, a hidden cash pocket, a hidden coin compartment, and a surprisingly slim design considering how much it can actually hold. It also comes with a 3-year warranty, which is always something I like to see on products in this price range. What I personally like most though is that it feels like a traditional wallet that's been modernized without losing what made traditional wallets great in the first place. Now, one thing I should mention is that this wallet does come with a bit of a trade-off, because while it stays relatively slim for everything it can hold, it is still a little bulkier than some ultra minimal wallets out there. Personally, I don't really mind that though, and sometimes I actually prefer it because it feels more substantial in the hand. It's also genuinely useful for travel thanks to the built-in RFID protection, which gives you a little extra peace of mind when flying or moving through busy airports. And another thing I liked is that it comes in a variety of different colors. I personally went with this brown version, which I think looks fantastic, but if that's not your style, you can also get it in black and several other color options as well. Next up, we have the Peak Design phone case, and this is actually one of the very few products on this list that already appeared in my Buy It For Life video, but for good reason, because I've been using this case for almost 3 years now, basically since I got my phone. And the funny thing is that I used to be one of those people who refused to spend more than $5 on a phone case. So spending around $40 on one definitely felt like a buy once, cry once purchase. But after using it for years, I completely understand why people love it. The first thing you notice is the build quality. It has this fabric finish on the back that feels really premium, but at the same time it's surprisingly durable and holds up incredibly well over time. Even after years of daily use, mine still looks remarkably good, but the real reason I stuck with it is the system behind it, because it's not just a phone case, it comes with Peak Design's Slim Link mounting system, which allows you to connect it to tripods, phone stands, car mounts, bike mounts, wireless chargers, power banks, and a lot of other accessories within seconds. And once you get used to that convenience, it's honestly difficult to go back. Now, do I think everyone should spend $40 on a phone case? Probably not. But if you're someone who uses your phone constantly and plans on keeping it for a few years, I genuinely think this is one of those products where the higher price can absolutely be worth it. Last but not least, we have the Owala FreeSip, and this is actually a product that has become noticeably more expensive over the last couple of years, because when I first saw these bottles, they were usually somewhere around $20, while today you're often looking at closer to $30 or even $35 depending on the size and color. And despite that, I still think they're absolutely worth it, because while most insulated water bottles are honestly pretty similar, the FreeSip is one of the few that actually feels different to use. The main reason is this lid design. You can either drink through the built-in straw or use the larger opening like a normal bottle, which sounds like a tiny feature until you actually start using it while traveling. I also really like that the drinking area stays fully covered, which is surprisingly useful when your bottle spends half its life on airport floors, inside backpacks, and on random tables. On top of that, it keeps drinks cold for hours, feels great in the hand, comes with a sturdy carry handle, and is surprisingly easy to clean compared to many other straw bottles. And of course, don't go anywhere just yet, because as always, I still have 4 more bonus gadgets coming up that didn't quite make the main list, but for some of you might actually maybe even better than some of the products you've seen so far. But real quick before we get into the bonus gadgets, if you want even more travel gear recommendations, packing tips, and travel setups, you might want to check out my free newsletter. Inside, you'll get access to the Gear Vault bundle with over 75 travel products I've personally tested, 8 complete packing guides, and practical tips to help you avoid wasting money on gear you don't actually need. You'll also be joining a community of more than 2,500 travelers already inside. It's completely free through the first link in the description. But now, let's get into the bonus gadgets. So our first bonus gadget is this outdoor research rain jacket, and this is one of those products that honestly doesn't feel exciting until the day you actually need it, because at around $150 to $200 depending on the version, it's definitely more expensive than a lot of basic rain jackets out there. But what you're paying for is a jacket that's lightweight, packable, comfortable to wear, and most importantly something you can rely on when the weather suddenly turns bad. I've had mine for years now, and whether it was hiking, traveling, or just getting caught in unexpected rain, it's always been one of those products I'm happy I packed. Our next bonus gadget is the Rolling Square XL charging cable, and this is probably one of the simplest products in my entire travel setup. It's basically a charging cable, but it can replace several cables at the same time thanks to the different adapters built into it. Now, is it expensive for a cable? Absolutely. But after using it for years, I can honestly say it's one of those products that quietly removes small annoyances over and over again. Instead of carrying multiple cables, I usually just bring this one, and that's exactly why it earned a spot in my bag. Our final two bonus gadgets are the Turtle Travel Pillow and the Sony ZV-E10. The Turtle is one of the few travel pillows I've actually continued using long term. At first it looks a little strange, but compared to many traditional neck pillows, it provides significantly more support and packs down smaller as well. And after countless flights, one of those products I'm always glad to have with me. And finally, the Sony ZV-E10. This is actually the camera I've used to film most of the videos you've seen on this channel over the last few years. And while spending close to $1,000 on a camera definitely isn't for everyone, I genuinely think it's one of the best values in its category. It's reliable, produces fantastic image quality, and most importantly, I've never really felt the need to upgrade it, which is probably the most buy once cry once thing I can say about any camera. So that's it for today's video, and if you want to see another video filled with travel gear that I personally use all the time, you can check out the video right over here on the left. And if you're not subscribed yet, feel free to do that right over here on the right. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end, and as always, safe travels guys.